I don't know why I didn't know this. I think it's because I might have seen you at some shows in the South, but when I lived in Florida, you were doing some stuff with like FIP. I think you did an Impact taping, but you have some ties to New Jersey area, right?
Yeah, I'm originally from New Jersey. I'm from Camden, New Jersey, right
Okay.
outside Philadelphia. So,
Okay.
born and raised, I went to school there, went to college there, and basically got my break there. And yeah, I just moved away. I needed to get away. If you know anything about Camden, it just wasn't a suitable place for me to continue growing. You know, I still have family there who continues to struggle, but I just couldn't see myself raising a family in an area that I just knew too much about, too much, poverty, drugs, danger, and all that. And I just wanted to get away. And I fell in love with Florida super early on in my life, so it just kind of made sense once
Mhm.
I finished college.
Yeah, I live 20 minutes north of Philly, so
Yep. Yeah.
I know
Yeah. Okay.
Camden. But yeah, like when I was living down there, I'd see you on these shows, and then since you've been released, I've seen like you've been at the Monster Factory, and you've kind of been up this way a little bit. So I didn't realize until after the fact, how deep those ties were.
Yeah, I mean, I have a daughter who lives up there, so I'm literally trying to take as many bookings as possible in New Jersey. Spend an extra couple of days up there, spend time with her. Gives me a reason, not that I didn't have a reason before, but makes it a lot easier when I'm there for work and then I have a couple of days. So yeah, and I've always had ties with New Jersey's, wrestling schools, Monster Factory, a couple other places that I like to just go and just try things out and see what's going on in the world of professional wrestling on the independence level. But those places always hooked me up and always allowed me to just like go and train and do me, not worry about like, oh man, this is a luchador doing lucha libre style. They know I could do everything. And Monster Factory has been on my priority list to work with as far as teaching. I'm very passionate about teaching. That was my background before wrestling. I was a teacher. So like it's kind of just like all coming into play. So yeah, you'll see me in a lot of wrestling schools in New Jersey. You'll see me in a lot of places in New Jersey, just expanding as much as possible.
Now, you mentioned this, I believe it was the Sports Illustrated interview, but you pitched some ideas in WWE. You talked about wanting to add layers to your character, and you're not the first to say it, probably won't be the last. But what do you think the disconnect is where there is a ceiling in some ways for like a luchador in WWE?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think that disconnect is where there aren't as many layers or deep character driven stories for talent like that, where there's
Yeah.
clearly a desire from talent and fans?
Yeah. I think there's a culture disconnect. And what I mean by that, and it's not a race thing and it's not a demographic thing. It really isn't, but it's a culture disconnect. And what I mean by that is when you have writers of certain experiences or culture and they don't get your experiences or culture because of environments or how they were raised. It's hard for, and again, it's not a race thing, but it's hard for a white person to write for a Hispanic person or a Black person or an Asian person because they don't understand what we went through or what we go through or what our culture embodies, especially with the lucha libre, what that means to our culture. And when they think of lucha libre, and I'm not saying just WWE, I'm just saying a lot of people, a lot of American people around the world, when they think of lucha libre, they think of just mass wrestlers. When I think of lucha libre, I think of mass wrestlers, incredible athletes. I think of vintage movies. I think of men in incredible suits and outfits. I think of a society of athletes that is, different than just, these entertainers and all that. We had pitched incredible ideas. And I'm not saying that because, I said that. I thought we had pitched incredible ideas, life-changing ideas. We thought about, breaking barriers. The fact that we were able to speak was different. Not saying that, Rey Mysterio couldn't speak, not saying Sin Cara could speak, Kalisto, but man, like we had something special. Like what one of us lacked, we picked it up, and like it was like the perfect triangle. that we had. And I just saw us being so different. I saw us being more than just the luchadors. I saw us being more than just the Power Rangers. I saw us being, the Charlie's Angels of WWE, where they can do everything and anything and still look badass doing it. And it just, it was just a big culture disconnect when they just didn't see it as anything more than just the lucha chants. And it was just very frustrating. Like when we would say, hey, can we do this promo in a suit? Well, why would you want to do it in a suit? Why wouldn't you do it in your gear? Well, everybody does it in their gear. But when's the last time you seen a masked luchador do a promo in a suit? That's kind of cool and different. We always try to do something different, even if it didn't make sense to anybody besides us. We just wanted to be different. I wanted to be very different. I came back from a little hiatus wearing capris, like 3/4 tights. I came up with that idea because I saw a lot of guys wearing tights. I saw a lot of guys wearing trunks. And I said, well, if I'm going to come back and be different, let me wear capris. Like, it didn't matter if it stuck. I just wanted to be different. I knew I was different, and I just wanted to be different. And I just felt like I wasn't given the proper opportunity to be different because we were just pigeonholed.
Yeah. And, more often than not, you don't know if something's going to work unless you do put it out there. No. So, like, just do it. If you fail, go back to the drawing board, see how you can make it work. And if it works, it works. So
I'd rather fail that's my biggest thing. I'd rather fail. I love learning. I love failing because then I learn more. And I just never got to that point where I was just like coasting by and I just was like complacent because they made it that way, like, oh no, you're just the lucha guys. You're just the guys to, do these spots. And I just wanted more. I always wanted more. And this was even before WWE. Like, I always wanted more on the independent scene. I didn't want to be the fatal 4-way guy, the 6-way guy. I wanted to be a guy, like the guy that people depend on doing singles matches and like captivating people and talking to them like if we were talking today right now. And you'd be surprised how many people, especially after WWE or even during WWE, they're like, man, I didn't know you could speak. I didn't know you could speak English. But I'm from New Jersey, man. Like, I can speak. I'm not, I represent my culture, the Latino culture, but I'm also not Mexican. Like, I'm just representing the Lucha Libre culture because that's what I love about, that specific part of the culture.
And, you just mentioned wanting to wear the suit. Like, I'm thinking of like, I've seen pictures of El Santo at press conferences and like going out in public and, in a lot of ways that was because identities were so protected, but it's also, at least for you, I would assume it's, paying homage to like that era where, you still see the mask, but it's, a business presentation. Cool. It's different. It's cool. It's
fucking cool. Like to me, I pitched to them like this. I said, write us like you would write anybody else. I would go food shopping. I would go grocery shopping. I would go wash my car. Everything I would do in a mask. What's the difference? I just wear a mask. Mm-hmm. Like, we could talk, we could communicate, we could do everything the same. The only difference is I wear a mask. I don't really think I'm a cat. I don't really honestly think I'm a cat. Do I perform like one? I mean, like maybe my agileness is, but like, it's just a prop. Let me be me kind of thing. And we just never got that opportunity.
Any ideas that you maybe pitched that you think you can carry on now that you're on your own? Like, I know a lot of it was like Lucha House Party, but anything that you really feel strongly about that you want to introduce on the indies right now?
Sure. I mean, even the Lucha House Party idea, I'll show you original concepts that I had done, like all PowerPoint. Again, there is a very visual company. So I wanted to, not just go in there with words. I wanted to say, hey, look, this is what I thought. Here's some concepts. Here's some art. Here's some ideas. And like, man, I don't know what happened. Like, somebody came in Vince's office with a piñata and we were just like dead in the water right there and then. And I was like, man, but what about these ideas where like, maybe we could have our own lucha lounge where it's like a club and like we're like a little bit harder and like we all had these specific attitudes and personalities. But yeah, we were just the piñata guys and the lucha guys. But as far as the ideas, I definitely want to do, I still want to pay homage and do those like lucha vignettes, like the movies, as far as like when I want to do promos, I think I want to do a little bit more artistic. I want to do a little bit more harder. I don't want to just stand in there and say, hey, come to my show February 12th, where you're going to see Lince Dorado perform. To me, that's boring. That's nothing creative. Like, that's why I left WWE with 2 years left on my contract. I just felt very unfulfilled. Now, all the ideas I wanted to do that I don't have to ask for permission or ask for, is this okay? Or can I get help? Getting a crew just to film this, since it is part of the company. But I have an idea that I really want to portray that I've always had since day one, for me personally. And it's going to go pay homage a little bit to Batman, because I feel like my life has always been in the Batman universe, with me being Bruce Wayne and Lince being Batman. And but ultimately, like, I feel like I'm Two-Face too, where I'm like good and evil inside. Like, I'm portraying myself as good, but like inside I'm so angry. Like, I love violence. I love fighting. I love jujitsu. I love wrestling. I love like that combatness. But then I play the good guy. Like, or I just want to be, hold your hand up, wipe your tears away, little boy, whenever you're crying or you see me getting beat up. But I had this idea that I really want to portray where, where I'm in conflict with myself, Lince versus the person behind the mask. Because for 17 years, everybody has known Lince, but they've never asked or never even inquired about the person behind the mask. So now you're going to see a little bit more of that, where, I've been teasing an unmasking, or I've been teasing a different side of Lince. And I wasn't able to show that side in WWE because I had to be a specific way. Now I'm going back to my old way, my old roots. Right before I went to the WWE on the Indies, I felt like I had this swagger, and I had lost it when I got complacent. Now I'm finding it back, and I'm just like, I'm in my groove, I'm in my grind. And, I think having that idea with the promos I want to do is going to just make it come to light, and now show a side of like, oh man, this guy's just not a lucha guy. Like, it's interesting, like, that's what I want people. I always want people to say, man, this is interesting. I want to know more.
Yeah. Batman's a really good example because it's a very visual rogues gallery, but often the best stories, at least with Batman, are very psychological. They're like you're talking about wanting to explore
when I
layers.
say that, when I say that, like, whenever I talk about Batman, and even when my acting coach, we were talking, and I was like, I see myself being Batman. Like, everything about him is exactly me, where like everybody knows he's Lince, but nobody knows he's Bruce Wayne, right? And everybody like knows his parents got murdered. Well, my father got murdered, and I don't like really talk to my dad. So it's like, it's all just like coming into play, where it's like reality is like mixing with this pro wrestling world. And it's like a lot more realism for me now, because now I'm finding my groove and I'm feeling it, rather than just like going through the motions kind of thing.
You looking forward to the live action film?
The new one?
Yeah.
I heard it's 3 hours long, man. I don't know. My attention span could
Yeah.
But that first Batman Begins, though, I couldn't watch it full through. Like, it was so long, and I couldn't watch it. All of the other ones after, I was hooked.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the attention span, I don't know if 3 hours I could do. I mean, I couldn't do it raw, as soon as I was done, I was out. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything bad. It was just like, it's just long, just too long.
You have to dedicate yourself to it, whether it's, raw or a movie like that. Like I've still never seen Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh,
because that's
God. Actually, you know what? Kalisto got me on that. Samurai got me on that. I never watched it until WWE. I was super, super sheltered. Like, didn't know anything about pop culture. I mean, being from Camden, like, we grew up poor, so like I never understood like all the songs that I've heard from like indie wrestling. I thought they were wrestling theme songs. I'm talking about Enter the Sandman, Man in the Box, like all of that. I thought was wrestling theme songs. Coming to find out, they're like real life artists, and I'm like 25, 30 years old finding this out. And I'm like, man, where have I been living? Oh, under a wrestling rock my entire life, 16, 17 years.
That's an interesting way to put it, because we've been talking a lot about not getting opportunities, ceilings, and the Mass Republic partnership is really cool, because that, I feel like, is a bridge to all of these things that you want to do. And I've talked to Kevin over the years, I mean, they're just opening a door for
Mhm.
especially like domestic fans to lucha libre culture, to Mexican culture. They've had, and if anybody doesn't know about Masked Republic, it's, it's designed for talent to make their careers easier, to have merchandising deals. I know they helped get a work visa for a group of luchadors. It's just, it's providing a platform for talent and fans. And a couple of the things they did was like they're doing NFTs now. They have a literacy program through Encantos, and they're using Lucha Libre as the vehicle. But how is that going to help expand your brand? Like you have all these ideas that you've presented, to me right now, but how is the new Masked Republic partnership going to help you expand your brand even further?
Sure. I mean, I've worked with Masked Republic since 2007. They actually gave me one of my first big breaks when I did their pilot for Viva La Lucha in Tijuana, Mexico. And I've connected with them ever since. I've never lost track with Kevin. I've met Kevin, like I said, in 2007, 2006, and right away we kind of hit it off where like he understood like, okay, man, here's an American luchador who can connect with the American audience, build that bridge, like you just said, from the Lucha Libre to the American audience and vice versa. And I get it where it comes to like not just the Lucha Libre and the art of the in-ring performance. Like you got to be the total package. I call it the Lex Luger, right? You got to be the brand, you got to have the social media, you got to be everything, not just the in-ring desired. You got to be desired outside of the ring as well. So it just made sense when I asked for my release that me and Masked Republic linked back up, and they knew that I was already working on stuff because before that on my Twitch I was doing, I was writing my books live where people can help watch me write my memoirs or whatever I was doing. I was writing some like kids books and all that. I have 4 books that I'm writing currently. 2 kids books, 1 and 2 wrestling books, one being an auto and one being like a survival guide to pro wrestling on the indie scene from my point of view. And then we had talked about just making it better. Like, yeah, we can connect with Lucha Libre, like, hey, come watch the show, and we got Psychosis and all these other guys, but we needed more than that. If we wanted Lucha Libre to expand, and it's not just for me, it's just I'm looking at it as a total package, like overall, the Lucha Libre world. We need more eyes on that, and it's just not enough right now to have like our guys go out there and just perform and be like, yeah, this represents the Masked Republic. Like, no, we want guys on the carpet, we want guys doing media, we want guys producing kid shows and all of that. And I got the mindset for that. I love all aspects of entertainment, whether it's wrestling, video, music, all of that. I get it, and I love it. They get it too. We communicate literally every day on some ideas, whether it's audio, books, metaverse stuff that we'll be introducing later. You talked about the NFTs, and again, it's just getting more eyes on the product of Lucha Libre. Not so much the Masked Republic brand, not so much the Lince Dorado brand, but we are going to be the catalyst for this drive moving forward for the Lucha Libre brand in the American scene. And hopefully, it goes super global. It's global now, but like it could be, I think with the right people, Masked Republic, me and some other guys with the right mindset, I think we could definitely, put a rocket on Lucha Libre and blow it up, especially with the world moving as fast as it can. It's part of culture. There's no denying that Lucha Libre is a part of American culture. It's a part of wrestling culture 100%, but it's a part of culture. You can't go to an American football game or a European football game without seeing a Lucha Libre mask. You can't, and it's everywhere. Everybody loves Lucha Libre, and it's our mission now with our ideas to spread more Lucha Libre. Everything is Lucha Libre, and that was my campaign in WWE. Was I wanted everything to be Lucha underwear, Lucha snacks, everything Lucha, because that's what it was. Now we're going to bring that brand to the main world. If they don't want it, we'll bring it.
I'm excited to see what you guys have in store. Specifically, I'm looking forward to Expo Lucha.
Oh yeah.
Philadelphia. So close to home. I know that the first two were West Coast, and then last year was virtual because of the pandemic.
Mhm.
But Expo Lucha is June 11th and 12th at the 2300 Arena. You can find out more information at expolucha.com, and I'm sure there'll be a bunch of announcements as we get closer to that. But
Oh yeah.
uh, it's cool to hear that you're working on a book, multiple books. Sorry. I know you're a really creative person, like not only just talking about some of the creative plans, but you're a gear maker too.
Yes, sir.
You've showed off some of your work over the years. Do you feel like now is the best time to be getting back into the independent scene because of that? Because now I know you talked about like bridging the gap with Mass Republic and restrictions in WWE, but do you feel like, maybe the advance in technology, or do you like, is this like a really good time overall just to, be an independent wrestler, be building your own brand that maybe
Oh
couldn't happen
man.
5-10 years
I
ago?
I, I think during the pandemic, every person should have reinvented themselves, invested in their social media. I feel like everybody should be booked right now because they've had this time to do that. Technology is free. It's literally free, right? All these apps that are free advertisement for you are free, but nobody's using that, which is like crazy. For me, it's funny because I started in 2006, 2007, and I remember going to shows, and I'd be happy to have a curtain, maybe one light at the curtain, right? And then like you do these shows. Now you see these shows where like big productions, and some of these shows are like, they're not bottom feeder shows, but like I'm like, man, I remember like this building having, just a curtain. Now you guys got a stage and everything, and they're just not taking advantage of that. They're just not taking advantage of like that looks so professional. Just snapping a picture of you right in front of that just makes your social media look so much more professional. And the technology is there where, it's so much cheaper to get a green screen or a camera than it was 10 years ago, where you're paying thousands of dollars. Now you're paying maybe like $300-400 for an entire thing, a setup. And you could do your own promo pictures. You could do your own, your own green screen videos. Like I literally do all my stuff by myself. Like everything I do is by myself. I wanted to be self-made. I wanted to be self-sufficient. If I fail on my own. I can't fail on anybody else, kind of thing. So I made sure that, I do got the technology that will help me, and it's nothing crazy. I think people just need to invest in something that they're going to use all the time, that setup, whether it be lights and cameras, and just that technology will make you look so much more professional. It makes you stand out, makes your social media stand out, makes it look like you put in the work when you really, you just put in the work financially. But other than that, like I'm all about technology. I think whatever makes me look like a superstar, I'm going to use, filters. Like I said, green screen. I love editing. I taught myself how to use Adobe, Premiere Pro, After Effects, everything I've done, like all those graphics I did on my Twitch, all the animations I've done on myself. Like I learned and taught myself. And that's more people need to do that. They just need to be, driven, self-driven, first of all, and, just learn, take the time to learn and be patient.
Yeah, I think, there's a lot that happened in the past 2 years, but I think the most positive takeaway is seeing people that challenge themselves and seeing people that found a healthy creative outlet, a way to express themselves, whether it was through people made merchandise or people taught themselves a new skill. It's refreshing to hear that, you want to do all those things for yourself. So, I totally agree with where you're coming from as far as, making your own way. It's your brand, like present it the way you want to be seen and figure out how to get there.
Yeah, I think it's just important. I had a really rough time in WWE, probably in like 2017, 18, maybe 17, 16 to 17. I just I lost myself. Remember I told you earlier on the indies, right before WWE, I was finding my groove. I was there. And then I don't know what happened where I just kind of like got complacent and I lost myself. And finally, I don't know, man. I tell this to everybody. There was a video, I swear it doesn't exist, but it does exist kind of thing where
Mhm.
I found it and it kind of just like made me at ease where it's like, stop stressing about certain things and learn how to channel all these stresses into like a challenge or, challenge yourself to learn something. And ever since then, like you see these books in my background, like I've read every one of these books in WWE. Like this isn't just from, my time before. I just loved reading in WWE. But like one of the things, my Stoic book, just I remember reading was like always challenge yourself. Like always wake up with every day with one thing to accomplish, feel accomplished. Like just waking up is an accomplishment enough. And sometimes, I have that rule where I'll pick one activity a day, whether it's jujitsu or go to the gym, or it's a project at home. Usually the gym and jujitsu are like, automatic. But like if I have to do something, I'll just pick one thing. I don't want to stress myself out and do 2 or 3 or 4 things, even though they're all on my mind, right? And I'll probably end up doing them. I know on that agenda for that day, I only need to accomplish one thing. And when I do accomplish it or learn a new skill or do something, like I feel so much better about myself. I feel invincible. I feel like like nobody could tell me anything and I just smile at them and be like, okay, cool, whatever. And then move on with my life. Like nothing will get to me now, And I think, again, that's probably, that's why I left WWE. I just felt like I wasn't challenged anymore. I was very complacent. I didn't like my role. And it was because I wasn't challenged in my role. You know, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I'm not worried about tomorrow. I'm not worried about yesterday. I'm worried about today. And just keep my hustle going.
You've worked 2 matches since your non-compete expired.
3.
3?
3 matches. Yes, sir. Which ones do you have? I'll tell you which ones.
CZW and then the Sam Adonis match.
Okay, so my very first match from my release should have been in Toronto, but Toronto got shut down. That would have been for Demand Lucha, okay. A company I wrestled for like a bunch of times before. But a company I used to wrestle for way back in the day called Dog Wrestling was doing a show at my college at Rowan University. And, they had asked me if I would be their first, or if I would, be their first show back. And it just made sense. I was in my college, for a company that I wrestled for before. It was super low key. I wrestled one of my friends, Deshaun Pratt, who's the head trainer at CZW. And that was my first match back, believe it or not. And then Sunday, that Sunday was CZW. And then this past week was Sam Adonis match, which I like that one out of the other 2. No offense.
Okay. No. I stand corrected, but I was also gonna, and I'll mention this. The gifts are all over the place, or you can watch the full match, the full event on Fight. But you tore it up with Sam. Man. It was so much fun to watch, whether you saw a segment or 2 or the whole thing. But is that match, usually I do a watch list. I'll ask like, what's your most memorable or whatever, like, is that most recent one, all encompassing, best represents what you want to accomplish from here on out?
I think so. I think, one, I knew Sam Adonis for like 17 years. He was one of the first people I met when he was a little porker, but that's my dude right there. Like I wrestled for him and his pop and Corey Graves' dad way back in the day in Pittsburgh. And, we always stayed in touch, we always stayed in touch and we always just always talked. And when we had this opportunity to wrestle, I had told him, I said, hey, look, man, I'm the attraction, but I want you to wrestle me like if we were having like a ECW match. And he was like, perfect, let's do it. And it wasn't like anything like crazy, like we were throwing, like, we threw some chairs and all that, but we weren't taking like some crazy bumps. But I just wanted to be free. I wanted to be free. I wanted to have like no restrictions, no time limits. I didn't like, it still made sense, which was awesome. Like when people like, you talk to people, I think that's why my first 2 matches, I kind of got thrown off a little bit. It just didn't make sense what I was doing. But now this match made sense. And I just had a lot of fun. I felt like I was the man behind the mask wrestling besides Lince wrestling, like I felt like we were both in sync. Sometimes I know that sounds kind of crazy, like, but sometimes I feel like it is Lince wrestling and it's his style and it's his, like, this is what y'all expect of me. So this is what I'm going to give y'all. But for some reason on Saturday, I kind of just was feeling myself, and I would just, I felt indestructible. I felt, I wanted to always go out with a bang. I always wanted to give the audience, something to talk about. I never wanted to just come in and be a part of the show. I always wanted them to talk about me, after the show, which they're doing now, right? But that's my mentality to always go out there and not only steal the show, but like rob it. Like I want everybody to know that I'm still here and I'm still can do this and I still love this and I still want this. And that I don't want to be the 6-way guy. I don't want to be the fatal 4-way guy. I don't want to be a 3-way guy. Like I'm here to be the fucking man. Like I want to be the man. I want to be the top luchador that everybody talks about. I want to be the top guy that everybody wants to book. And not just because I'm a former WWE wrestler. Like I don't want that. Like look at me for who I am. Same thing I told WWE. I don't want to be a Hispanic wrestler. I don't want to be a Latino wrestler. I just want to be a superstar who happens to be Latino. So look at me as not just, a former WWE wrestler. Look at me as like, this is Lince Dorado. Like he's back, unleashed. He's here,
Any upcoming bookings? Where can we find you? I know you have a Pro Wrestling Tees store. We mentioned Expo Lucha. Any upcoming appearances?
Yeah, for sure. All my appearances, you could check out my website, www.luchalit.com/book Lince Dorado. On there, you'll see all my calendars. It's up to date every day. I got the PWX Sweet 16 tournament coming up. I believe my first round will be against Ethan Case, so I'll be whooping his ass pretty soon. I got Blitzkrieg Pro Wrestling in Massachusetts, where I'll be wrestling Evo Uno at the end of the month. If you're in the Springfield, Mass area, I will be doing some signings at the Zombie Hideout and Captain's Corner for a virtual signing. Pro Wrestling Revolver for Sammy Callahan. I'll be there. Even though I said I didn't want to be in a fatal 4-way, I'm in a fatal 4-way there. But that one's a little bit different. It's a little bit more fun. Plus, like Revolver is pretty cool. Sammy's been my boy since day one, also too. So I don't mind doing something crazy for him. But I got some stuff. Mania weekend, I'll be down there in Dallas doing some signings. I'm trying to get on some shows. I got one show on Saturday for Lucha Maniacs in a 6-man tag. I'm sorry. And then I probably will be flying to Detroit on Sunday for Mania for another show and then headed back. So I got some stuff coming up. It's coming in slow, steady. I'm trying to overwork myself. I'm not trying to overwhelm myself. I'm still trying to find time to be creative. And, I'm living life and I'm loving it right now. Like I'm truly loving my life right now. Not that I wasn't before. I did love my life. But right now I feel without that stress, so much happier.
Plenty of places to catch you. I know the Revolver show is April 16th, so plenty of opportunities to catch you on the road for the next few months. Hopefully we'll get to run into each other in June at Expo Lucha, but
please.
So much going on. I appreciate your positivity, your outlook on everything. And, thanks again for the time today.
No, brother, I appreciate it.